I tend to live in both the future and the present, which is it's quite an odd thing to do. In that most people are very happy to focus on the now and live in now, but they don't ignore the future, but they spend their time really worrying about getting things done today, which is fantastic, and they all their satisfaction from that. But I like to be constantly looking 3, 4, 5 years ahead, and thinking and acting as to what should the world look like, what does it need to look like, and being happy to be in both at the same time, which I've been told is a very rare thing. So in the way that I built Livingbridge, it's always been that in mind. So we were very small. It wasn't quite a startup, it was a recovery of a business that had been. And a lot of what we put in place back in 97, 98 is very relevant now. People talk about, forward-thinking Livingbridge, about this, that, and the other. I mean, I had most of those ideas when I was in my 30s. And part of it was just being able to think, well, actually, yes, I know what's good now, but actually that's interesting, but not the answer to the problem. The answer to the problem is to be ahead and to let the market move to where you are. It tends to be a much better way of doing it. In terms of business, a range of people, and I was very fortunate in finding people who spent a lot of time with me, imparting wisdom, knowledge, experience. And if I go back to my sort of beginning of my working career in a bank, I joined Barclays Bank on their fast track program. I got the privilege of working with a really interesting guy who helped me think through how big organizations work. And it may sound sort of odd, but I was his sort of PA gopher. And he was very open with me about how he managed a big unit within Barclays and how to get your way in that environment. And at a very young age, to be exposed to that was awesome. And a lot of lessons as to how you influence people, how you deal with people is have stayed with me. So, for example, the guy would never raise his voice when he was upset with people. He'd just be disappointed. And it's a wonderful thing to actually be seen as being quite level-headed and calm, and to actually get people to feel, without shouting at them, that they've not performed. It was a real skill he had. It was awesome to watch. I can't say I perfected it the way he has, but I don't raise my voice really. In fact, they'd probably all say I'm quite softly spoken. But you can convey disappointment without screaming and shouting or throwing your toys. And he was also quite a modest individual who would always just do the right thing. And actually watching someone just do the right thing was really, really important, again, at a very young age. And it's the long game. Just thinking through the fact that it's about being here for the long, long haul. And a couple of things which still stick in my mind about what he said, and again, people have repeated this over the years because it's sort of well-known sayings about, be careful how you treat people on the way up, because you never know who you'll meet on the way down. I mean, that is a really important thing to live by, because however you cut it, I've just met lots of people who treated me quite badly on the way up, as they've been rising, and as I've then sort of done better, I've found that they've maybe fallen on hard times, haven't quite performed, things have changed, their situation has changed, and they've kind of forgotten the interactions we had in the past. There's that classic, be careful how you treat people on the way up, because you never know who you meet on the way down. It's a really important way. It's just about being a decent person. You've got to sort of step back and go, what can business do to improve its reputation generally, which is a big issue still. People still look at business as being a bit dirty, a bit sort of, not what you want to do. There's better places to be, better to do. But let's presuppose that we can at least sort of put that back on an even keel, because I think it's the whole business of doing and making and improving the general economy is at threat in the environment we're in at the moment. People take it for granted. It's a phenomenal activity in the sense that you can't take for granted, particularly entrepreneurial end as well, people who want to go out and create a business and take that step, which is I'm going to lead something and create something. So let's just put that one side together. That's what we're going to try and improve in general. But if you think about that and respect that, then the rest should be quite straightforward. Because if it's all about creating value, improving the economy, making sure that our children's children have something to really look back and think, wow, we are a leading economy in the world, we're doing all that sorts of things, we're creating value, improving the environment, both for the social side as well as the business side, then it should be quite obvious what you do. You know, it starts with the sort of culture of what we're about, and the whole reflecting in your business and activity what society looks and feels like, because that's who you interact with, should be quite obvious, or more obvious than it has been in the past. And you've got to take it seriously. So if you start with that, I'm really thinking about my reputation, I'm really thinking about the character of what business is about, then it should flow, shouldn't it? It should naturally flow that the environment out there is very difficult business. It's not the old, school way of writing Russia and everything. It's much more nuanced. The consumers, the way you interact with all the stakeholders, whether it's labour force, whether it's the government, whether it's regulators, has changed dramatically. And you've got to sort of respond to that. And sitting there thinking that I can run my business in the way that I did in the past, in terms of not just what we do, but how we do it, which is the people we employ and how we retain and develop them. You're kind of mad if you think you can just operate in isolation. Better than that, if you want to think about looking forward and being a bit more forward about this, what will the world look like in 10, 20 years' time? Shouldn't you be down that track anyway? Shouldn't you be thinking, actually, if I go back 20 years and think about how it was back then, if I project 20 years that way, I've got to start imbuing my business with all the things I need to ensure it will succeed down the road in an environment which is even more tricky than it is now, where social media plays a role which 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we never even imagined. And reputations are one I lost in minutes almost, actually, lifetime to build up, minutes to lose. And a key part of that would be, what do you look like? How does it work? What's the makeup of your workforce? How do you treat them? How do they thrive within your business? How serious are you about it? And for me, it just makes complete sense to do the right things as far as this goes. So I wouldn't say it's specifics, because of course there's specifics. You can talk about hiring programs, that sort of stuff. But for me, it all starts with culture. And the culture at the top and what you want to drive through your business is the most important thing. Because by doing it that way, it becomes relatively easy. And I would, within private equity, we are reasonably well regarded in terms of our diversity, not just because I'm an ethnic minority running it, but because on a sort of gender balance, for example, we've done well. But if you ask me, did we set out to do that? The answer would be no. What we set out to do was to create a business that had the best people possible. And that meant fishing from as wide a pool as possible, as opposed to just the accepted routes and norms. You then come across with the issues that come with hiring from a much more diverse pool. And actually what you find is, if your culture's right and it's working in terms of the contribution and the ability to build a better business, then you get past all the barriers, in quotes, that are there. You get past all the maternity leave or the cultural issues that come sometimes with people from different backgrounds. They don't become that important, actually.